So according to your father, would your father be considered a so-called Native American?
Yes, sir.
Or a so-called black?
I think a Native American.
So you from the tribe of Gad. So did not this happen to our people, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans?
Yes.
How did, matter of fact, they only think this happened to the so-called blacks, but didn't they come over here and they conquered the Native Americans? And a lot of your Incas, Aztecs, Native, now they're called Mexicans, they're called Puerto Rican, which are your Tainos and all that. So what happened to them? They got conquered, and when they got conquered, they started calling themselves Native Americans. They forgot who they were. You're Gad according to the Bible. But let's talk about, is this in the Bible? Is slavery in the Bible? That's how I know who you are. Watch this, sis. This is very important because what I'm about to show you is your history in the Bible that they never told you. The pastors read certain passages, but guess what? I'm gonna read the passages to let you know who you are. Give me Deuteronomy 1:1 first.
Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 1.
Read it.
These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
You know the story of Moses, right? He wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. This is the 5th one. Deuteronomy said, these be the words which Moses spake to who?
All Israel.
So who is he speaking to?
These be the words which Moses spake to all Israel.
Is he speaking to everybody or is he speaking to who? Who did he just read? All Israel. So now we got to find out who the Israelites are because that's who Moses was only speaking to. Now, give me Deuteronomy 7 and 6. So in the book of Deuteronomy, Moses is speaking to who, sis? Israel, all Israel. I'm telling you before I prove it that you're part of all Israel and everybody else is not. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
For Israel is a holy people unto the Lord thy God. Do you know what it means to be holy? Holy means separate, special. Read.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
Read.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
He said he chose the Israelites to be a special people unto himself. Above. What does it mean to be above, sis? All right, let me rephrase the question. Right now, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, are we at the top of the food chain? We're at the bottom, but see, he said that. Read that again.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
For the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, which you are, sis, are above. Finish that out.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Read.
The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people.
Read.
But because the Lord loved you.
Because the Lord loved you. There's a D at the end of love. What is that? Past tense. So he loved you before you even hit the earth. And there was covenants already made with your forefathers. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, which is our forefather. He's the father of the 12 tribes right there. Read.
And because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, have the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Pharaoh is associated with what? Egypt, right? So we're gonna address that in a second, but give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. So there's a condition. In order for the Israelites to be above, I'm telling you that you're above, but right now we're below. So what happened to us that we didn't do according to the Most High God that put us at the bottom? But first, let's talk about when we ruled the world. Read. 28.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass.
That's a prophecy. Moses spoke this thousands of years ago. And it shall come to pass.
If thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Hearken means hear. The first 4 letters of hearken is here. If you were here, diligently into the voice of the Lord thy God.
To observe and to do all his commandments.
Some of them.
All his commandments.
What do we got to do? All of them. Read.
Which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So in order to be above all nations on earth, what do we have to do? Huh? All the commandments. So now, let me tell you, under King David and King Solomon, as a nation, we ruled the world. 40 years under King David, 40 years under King Solomon. But guess what? We also ruled Europe, but we didn't rule the whole world. King James was from the tribe of Judah. That was what they call the Dark Ages. The reason why they call it the Dark Ages, who was ruling? Our people, but we don't know that. Now, give me what happened to us in the city. No matter of fact, give me 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15.
Bring it up.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
A strong word, 3 letters. Not, if thou wilt not listen unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Read.
To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and shall overtake thee.
What is a curse? Is it a good or bad thing, sis? Bad. And it said curses, so it's plural. So all these curses will come upon the children of Israel and overtake them. Jump over to verse 45. Let's see how long these curses will be on us. Do these curses apply today? And who are they upon today? Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 45.
Bring it up.
Moreover, all these curses shall...
All these curses, now just jump down to 46, so we're talking about what? The curses.
And they,
which are the curses,
shall be upon thee for a sign.
What is a sign, sis? Let me give you an example. You see that green light? What does it tell you to do? If it was red, what does it tell you to do? If you was a block down the street and you saw a red sign and you couldn't see the letters, what does it tell you to do? Stop. It says these curses will be upon the children of Israel for a sign. So if I don't know nothing else about you, if these curses are on you, I will know that you are the children of Israel.
Yes, and for a wonder.
A people that used to be above are now below. Where are we at now, sis? Who lives in the ghetto? Who's the first fired, last hired? Who's being killed in the street by their own people and by the oppressor, and the oppressor says not guilty? Who does that happen to? Us. Where does the Native Indians live at? On the reservations. Another word for ghetto. Where do the Latinos live at? On the barrio. Another name for ghetto. And where do the black folks live at? In the ghetto. Which means where the Jews reside. That's the real definition of ghetto. Read.
And upon thy seed forever.
What is your seed? When we say our seed, your children, how long is forever? So would those curses be upon us now, since it says, upon thy seed forever? What's something that happened to our people that happened to no one else? Slavery. Now, let's get more specific. Let's explore the word slavery. What was our mode of transportation? How did we get to here? On boat. Now, what'd you say, brother? Cargo slave ships. Now, did that happen to anybody else? No. So is that in the Bible? Let's read, sis. Yes, it is. I'm getting ready to give you the first curse to show you that who you are. Because remember, the curses will be upon who? For how long? So let's explore that. Give me 68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68.
Bring it up.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
And the Lord will bring you into Egypt again. Egypt is synonymous. It's a Greek word that means slavery. But let the Bible prove it. Because if you know anything about the Israelites, what were they when they were in Egypt? They were slaves. One dark-skinned race enslaved another dark-skinned race.
Right.
So guess what? Let's find out. What does Egypt mean? Because it's on the back of your dollar bill.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which hath brought thee out of the land of Egypt
Out of the land of Egypt, which is the operative word. We're talking about Egypt.
Out of the house of bondage.
Out of the house of slavery. Bondage means captivity. Captivity means slavery. Out of the house of slavery. Go back.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. Bring it up. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Will bring you into slavery again. The first time the Israelites went into Egypt, how did they get there? They walked. Northeast Africa is right there next to Africa. When Moses split the Red Sea and delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt, how did they get out? They walked. Read this part again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And the Lord will bring you into Egypt, slavery again with ships. Who went into slavery on cargo slave ships, sis? Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Guess what? The conquistadors, what did they do to the Native Indians in 1492? They came over here. They conquered them. They took, some of them was here to the islands. Then they took a lot of them back to Spain on cargo slave ships. The slave ships didn't start with the blacks first. It started with the Indians and the Latinos.
Right.
So they meet the curse of the Bible. So it said that the curse of slavery would only be on the Israelites. So what does that make the Native Indians? Israelites. Watch this.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
What is our homeland? If I ask anybody out here, what's the motherland?
Africa.
Where's the motherland?
Africa.
We automatically associate Africa. Africa's a big continent. There's so many different countries on the continent of Africa, and they speak so many languages. What part of Africa do you come from if it's the motherland? You got that? Watch this. We're going to find out what the motherland is. Read.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 26.
Bring it up.
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all.
What's the motherland?
Africa.
We're going to read it again.
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all.
What's the motherland?
Africa.
Sis, what's the motherland? Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. They didn't start calling us Africans until the late 60s, early 70s. They called us Afro-American. Prior to that, we were never called Africans. 1985 is when we got the coin term by Jesse Jackson, African-American. So when you say that, you say you come from two white people. America was named after America Vespucci, a Roman navigator, when they conquered this land. And Africa was named after Leo Scipius Africanus when they conquered the land of Ham or Kim during the Second Punic War. They conquered Hannibal, which was an Israelite. So you're not, when they ask you if you're African American, no longer. You are from the tribe of Israel, excuse me, from the nation of Israel, more than likely from the tribe of Judah.
Right.
Read.
Learn something new every day, bro.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
When you get off those slave ships here in America, you will be sold unto your enemies. Who were we sold to, sis, when we got off the slave ships? White people. So what are they? That's what the Bible says. When we read and we tell you your history, we're only going to come out of the book. Read.
For bondmen,
Slave woman,
and bondwoman,
slave men and slave women. Read.
and no man shall buy you.
Buy is an old Quaker word that means redeem.
Bring it out.
No man shall redeem you or save you. Martin Luther King tried, Malcolm X tried, Sojourner Truth, and the list goes on. Nobody was able to save our people.
That's right.
But back then, at least we knew we were the children of Israel. Now, if I ask my people, we're African American. Read. You done with that? Yep. Jump over to verse. Now, sis, before I move on, who was that went into slavery on cargo slave ships in the Bible? Israelites. Who is it today? Black people, blacks and Latinos. So who are the Israelites? So you are the children of Israel. Now, we're going to even expand on that. Give me verse 48.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies,
You're going to serve those enemies that you got sold to when you got off the slave ship. Read.
which the Lord shall send against thee.
Who sent your enemies against you? The Lord. Why? Because remember, we broke the law and all these curses would come upon us. Read.
In hunger.
Where do we got to go get our food from?
Chinese,
Who owns it?
white man.
What does the Bible call them? Your enemy. Read.
And in thirst.
If you want water, water comes freely out of the sky. If you collect it in a bucket, guess what? They'll find you. But if you don't pay your water bill, what do?
Shut you up.
And what people control the water? The water dams. Read.
And in nakedness.
And in nakedness, that's twofold. Your clothing and your housing. No matter what, you got to go to them. Have you all ever heard about eminent domain? If they want to run a highway through your neighborhood, what do they do to the black communities?
Buy you out.
They don't buy you out, they take the land. They give you what they want to offer you. If you don't accept it, they just take it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Read.
And in want of all things.
Now, that's the million-dollar question. What does "in want of all things" mean? So everything that your little mind can comprehend, you got to go to your enemy for it. Let's keep it simple. If you want toilet paper, sis, who you got to go get it off of? Who owns the store? And even if a black person owns it, where does he got to go get a supply from? If you want a driver's license, if you want a death certificate, you want a birth certificate, what's your name? Your last name? Say it again.
Last name, Shield.
Shield. So guess what? You're serving the white man for your last name, because two things he gave you that's still on you right now when you came out of slavery is the religion you worship and the last name you had. Because Shields was the name of your slave master.
Right.
That was the slave of your grandmother, of your father, of your great-grandfather, all the way back to slavery. And if they were Methodist, guess what you were? Methodist. If you were Baptist, guess what you were? Baptist. Read.
And he
Now this enemy that the Most High sent against you, and he
shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
Do you know what yoke of iron means, sis? Upon thy neck.
Bring it
If
up.
you Google it, yokes of iron means the chains that they put on their necks. Oh, sorry. These are yokes of iron. These are yokes of iron that they put on us. Why is this in the Bible? Why? Because the Bible is your history book. It's not a religious book. It's a book of prophecies of things that only happen to you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans.
That's right.
Read.
Until he hath destroyed thee.
So guess what? We had yokes of iron on our necks until we was destroyed. Let me give you an example. Those that know about dogs, you put a choker chain on the dog, and every time that dog goes astray, what you do? You pull it. You pull it. Guess what? Eventually you can take that choker chain off of him. Guess what the dog's going to do? He's going to walk right beside you. That dog is broken. Guess what we are? Broken. That's why we are below. Because when we fought, and we're only broken because we did not follow the laws. Now sis, you know you're Israelite according to the Bible. Now the question you should be asking is, well, why did I go into slavery and why am I at the bottom still? Remember, we broke the laws, right? I'm going to give you a law that applies both to the man and woman. Let's see how you take it, because if we follow the laws, we rule. If we don't follow the laws, we stand together.
Bring it out.
Deuteronomy 22 and 5.
Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5. Bring it out. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
Read.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God.
Brother Greg, stay around, brother. Stay around. You ain't got nowhere to go. Read that again.
Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5.
Listen to this, sis.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man. Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God.
Sis, let me ask you this. It says, the woman shall not put on that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on anything that pertains to a woman. What should not put on that pertains to you, sis? I shouldn't put on a dress, right? And it says an abomination. So if I was up here with a dress on, right, sis? And I was speaking to you, would you believe me? Or what type of spirit would I have on if I had a dress on?
What type of spirit would you have?
How would I act? That's what spirit means in this case. How would I act if I had a dress on?
How would you act?
I would act like a woman, right?
Yes.
Very feminine. Now, since you know what a man's not supposed to wear, what is it that pertains to a man that a woman shouldn't wear? Check that right there. Look, the only way that you can tell what bathroom you go into is how? By their dress code. So guess what? We went into slavery. One of the reasons why we went into slavery was because we was cross-dressing. So if we want to get out of slavery, what do we got to stop doing? So I shouldn't, because think about it, sis. Right now, no one should see your shape, form, or fashion except for your husband. So right now, I know every curve on your body and everything. And you ever heard the, how old are you, sis, if I may ask?
45.
So you've been around as long as I have. What was it saying when we was younger? Who wears the pants in the house? Right. So guess what? The next time I see you, sis, what should you have on?
Should have a dress.
Right.
Now they will see the true men of God. We are not black men, we are the Israelites. That's right. Take care of us. Take care of us. And our children too. And our children too. We have abandoned. We have abandoned. How about you? How about you? People want to know who's the king.
Oh, nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father. Oh, nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father.
Now why they trying to make it so hard to serve God? And why when I say that I'm a Jew it sound odd? For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sounds wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.